Meghan Markle should steer clear of this program. If the princess-to-be has even the faintest creep of cold feet about her impending nuptials, an hour of talking heads pontificating about how marrying into the royal family will transform life as she knows it is sure to put her on the first plane back to California. Prince Harry should avoid it too. He'll only end up feeling guilty about what his new wife is in for. If they're planning a big Monday night in, they should try new series Superstition on Netflix instead. It's horror too, but at least it's fictional. For those with no vested interest in the harsh realities of being a royal wag, The Royal Wives of Windsor is a comprehensive look at the women who have had the misfortune of becoming romantically involved with the firm. Harry and Meghan's royal wedding in numbers. I say misfortune because, in the 95 years of history it takes in, from the Queen Mother's marriage to the present day, only 3 royal wives have happy endings: the Queen Mum, Sophie Wessex and the Duchess of Cambridge. This is no Merry Wives of Windsor. Princess Diana looms large. Her story may be familiar, but it's still painful to re-watch footage of her being chased by paparazzi. We see her aged 22, caught like a rabbit in the headlights with no emotional support. The range of commentators is impressive. There's historian David Starkey with his pocket square and expressive hands, royal biographers Penny Jure and Andrew Morton, and journalist Afua Hirsch to provide the perspective of a mixed-race woman on African-American Markle. We even get to hear from a security specialist for some real talk. Jeremy Paxman is the most entertaining. For some inexplicable reason, he appears inordinately amused to be there and relishes talking about how the virginal Diana looked like someone you'd put on top of a cake. Insight: historian David Starkey will offer commentary on The Royal Wives of Windsor. Spungled Productions, ITV. They chime in with advice for Markle in the manner of well-meaning relatives, drawing parallels with her predecessors. Like Wallis Simpson, she's an American divorcee, but her acceptance is testament to how the royals have modernized. Like Diana, the royals are hoping that Meghan's wedding will be a tonic for a country gripped by austerity. But unlike Diana, she's believed to be paying for her own dress, and has a partner who supports her. We see a wrong-footed Rachel Johnson admitting that "exotic" was the wrong choice of word to describe Markle in a newspaper column, however well-meaning, and Harry was right to come to her defense. It was an unprecedented move for a royal. They usually take media intrusion lying down. Click through to see some rules and traditions we can expect to see at Meghan and Harry's wedding. The balcony kiss was started by Princess Diana and Prince Charles in 1981. This is the dress the Duchess of Cambridge wore for her reception here at Princess Anne's wedding in 1973. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding invites, pictured, were sent out on March 22. Princess Eugenie and her father Prince Andrew at the wedding of Zara Phillips and Mike Tyndall in 2011. Princess Diana wears the Spencer tiara to marry Prince Charles in 1981. Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth on their wedding day in 1947. This tradition was started by Queen Victoria, dress pictured, in 1840 with her marriage to Prince Albert. Before then, white wedding dresses weren't common. Another tradition started by Queen Victoria, assuming it is the groom with royal blood. It is the opposite for when the bride has royal blood, like the Duchess of Cambridge is pictured. This tradition was started by the Queen Mother. Princess Diana arrives at her wedding, but the Duchess of Cambridge issued this tradition 30 years later, so we can expect to see George and Charlotte and Harry and Meghan's wedding party, pictured at Pippa Middleton's wedding last year as is tradition. This 8-tiered fruitcake was made by Fiona Kearns for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's wedding. The best moments come from minor nobility. Look out for sassy American Julie Montague, who describes the moment she discovered her nice boyfriend Luke was a Viscount. She pronounces it Viscount, and the culture shock of her first royal dinner party. "I was thirsty, so I reached to pour myself a glass of wine. People were shocked. What is upper class, middle class? It's a lesson." Q experts talking ominously about how Markle will be judged by how she holds her cup of tea. If the real-life soap opera of royal affairs is your jam, tune in. This is a well-put-together collection of stories. And there's another installment next week that looks beyond the wedding to find out if princesses can live happily ever after. If you're not naturally sympathetic to the plight of being born into wealth and importance, you might be left feeling that all the agony that comes with being in the royal spotlight is rather pointless and sad. At Susanna Butter Westworld, Sky Atlantic, 9 p.m. The opening episode of Season 2 of the futuristic drama deepened the mystery, tantalizing with the possibilities of 5 more fantasy worlds run by Delos Destinations. Fans are already primed for a visit to Shogun World, but so far the action is being driven by Dolores, Evan Rachel Wood, and her quest for revenge. Dolores meets the other female Avenger, Maeve, played by Thandie Newton, briefly in this episode, just about long enough for the two to trade unpleasantries. Avengers, Dolores and Maeve meet. HBO. Much of the action is a leap back towards the creation of the robot hosts. There's a cocktail party in which it's not clear who is real and who isn't, and Arnold Bernard, before he became a host, played by Jeffrey Wright, it is busy programming Dolores to appreciate the city skyline. While apparently falling in love, there's a smattering of gun-toting violence too, most of it in the path of the man in black, Ed Harris, who lets slip a small secret about the park's creation. And watch out for the estimable Peter Mullen, who often plays sweary Glaswegian Hardman, in the role of James Delos, growling about how he doesn't want to invest in some investment banker's fantasy art. On the BBC, The Genius of Leonardo da Vinci, BBC4, 9 p.m. Art historian Dr. Yanina Ramirez plunders the riches of the BBC archive to assemble an essay on Leonardo da Vinci. She starts coyly, "He created a certain painting that you just might have heard of, but it's an interesting exercise, revealing the conventions of art's television as much as Leonardo's inspiration." Over 60 years, a great number of people have examined the nature of Da Vinci's genius, starting with the civilized Kenneth Clark, who set the bar for tantalizing mystification low by observing, "The more you know about him, the more utterly mysterious he becomes." Sculptor Henry Moore offers an artist's perspective, praising his childish or childlike curiosity. Tax havens of the rich and powerful exposed. Panorama, London Live, 10 p.m. Now that everyone's hangovers have subsided after a cracking new tax year party, eyes and brains will be sharp enough to absorb how the super wealthy are playing the system and stashing millions overseas. How these prominent figures manage to funnel wealth overseas so easily is explained. Prince Charles's other mistress, London Live, 9 p.m. There was precisely zero shock at the appointment of Prince Charles as the next head of the Commonwealth. The vetting process on LinkedIn was severe and he spent many of his holidays building up relationships with members of the Commonwealth. One of those, according to this film, was Australian socialite Dale Kanga Tryon, who met the prince when she came to work in London in 1972. And the country's most eligible bachelor, Prince Charles, and Tryon met at Buckingham Palace when she was already attached to another toff, not that it would matter. Confidants of Tryon and journalists, along with interviews with Tryon herself, build the story of how she was at first coveted but eventually abandoned. Catch up, Mary Beard examines stories behind artifacts in civilizations. BBC, Newtopia Limited, Civilizations on Your Doorstep. BBC iPlayer. In this companion film to Civilizations, Mary Beard, below, examines the stories behind the artifacts assembled by British collectors over the centuries to form the national collections. She starts with Dr. John Bargrave's Cabinet of Curiosities in Canterbury Cathedral and, yes, that is a mummified finger. He was offered a mummified baby. Professor Beard notes reassuringly, Mountain. BBC iPlayer. A welcome TV screening for Jennifer Peetham's extraordinary documentary about our desire to climb mountains. It combines amazing cinematography with the music of Richard Tognetti and the Australian Chamber Orchestra, plus a poetic text by Robert McFarlane, beautifully rendered by Willem Dafoe. The mountains we climb are not made only of rock and ice, he suggests, but also of dreams and desire.